Hey, everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. In a second, I'm going to tell you everything that's wrong with our capitalistic system. But to do that, I have to first ask you, do you still drink a glass of milk? Ever? Do you ever sit down to a glass of milk? And I know that that's a weird way to begin a conversation. I am aware, but I've never claimed to be normal. I've claimed to be a lot of things in my life: ambidextrous, terrible dancer, the worst choice you could possibly have to babysit your kids. That's definitely on there. But I've never claimed to be normal. Never the once. Besides, normal is boring. You know, we don't have much time in this strange rock, do we? Existence is very fleeting. And so why spend it fitting in, right? Everybody always wants to fit in. I never wanted to fit in, unless you mean sexually, but that's a different thing. But no one should seek normal. And yet so many people do. Just allow the cultural hegemony to wash over them. But when was the last time anyone ran to tell people how normal they were? Just very excited, or got an award for being the best normal, which is an oxymoron to begin with. But, this year the trophy goes to Dan. Wow, Dan, that's incredible. You were you get the award for not standing out, Dan. You were just like everyone else. Half the time we weren't even sure you were in the room. You were so standard. Well done, Dan. And we're sure this moment is horrifying for you, because now you stand out as the guy who least stood out. Point being, don't be normal. Be strange. And if you find yourself so strange that no one wants to hang out with you, then back it off a little. You think about putting your trousers back on. Back to the question at hand. When was the last time you had a glass of milk? Do you still drink the cow milk? Like the mucus that shoots out of a penis-looking thing under a cow? I don't know anyone who does. I don't even know many people who force that shit on their kids anymore. And don't worry, the point of this rant is not just about how disgusting milk is. I'm not going to sit here going, what are you, crazy? Shoving all those hormones and antibiotics down your kids' throats? What are you want to grow up with fucking udders? I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't do that to you. No, my point is that people don't really drink much bovine juice anymore. It's really faded as a standard beverage in the Americas and probably in other countries too. And it's probably faded because it's just insane, but also because there are so many other options of things to drink that don't squirt out of a hooved animal. There's almond milk, or really almond juice. There's soy juice and cashew juice and rice juice, which is called Rice Dream for some fucking reason. No, I'm sorry. No one is dreaming about rice. No one is dreaming about rice juice. And if you do dream about it, get a fucking hobby, for the love of God. Become a boating enthusiast or an arsonist or something, because you're dreaming about rice, and that's not normal. The bad kind of not normal, not the good kind of not normal. Point being, milk is fading as a beverage, even if we jizz a little of it on our coffee or whatever. So how is the dairy industry dealing with this in our capitalism economy, our capitalistic economy? Are they backing off? Are they shrinking in size? Are they going out of business? Of course not, because capitalism is based on infinite growth, always selling a little more than the last quarter. So the dairy industry is making the same amount of milk as they always have, or really making more, and simply dumping it out. I'm not kidding. There are roughly 9 million dairy cows in America, and it's not uncommon to simply dump millions of gallons of extra bovine juice out. Here's a quote from the Wall Street Journal a few years ago. Quote, more than 43 million gallons worth of milk were dumped in fields, manure lagoons, or animal feed, or have been lost on truck routes or discarded at plants in the first 8 months of 2016, according to data from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And that's just a regular year. Sometimes they make a bunch of overstocked milk and they turn it into cheese. And here's another quote. At the start of 2019, the U.S. reached a record high milk surplus, resulting in 1.4 billion pounds of unwanted cheese. But then that cheese is also just thrown away. People love to act like our market economy, our capitalistic economy creates so much efficiency and just runs things just perfectly, right? It's doing so well because of our amazing economy. Are you kidding? It's set up like the invisible hand of the free market belongs to a drunk evil villain with his other hand just slowly petting a hairless cat. Milk lagoons, billions of pounds of warehoused cheese. Sounds like an evening at Marlon Brando's house in the 1990s. This is phenomenally wasteful. So why do they keep creating this much dairy if they know people don't want it? If they know they can't sell it? Because our government is subsidizing it. Here's from BlueHorizon.com. Quote, even just a few years ago, the government still granted the sector an unbelievable $22 billion in aid, which helped make up 73% of dairy farmers' marketplace, quote unquote, earnings. This isn't exclusive to the US. The EU subsidizes meat and dairy farms with an estimated 24 billion pounds, nearly a fifth of the EU budget in taxpayer money, unquote. Yes, our taxpayer dollars fund the milk that is then dumped into lagoons, thereby funding the tortured existence of millions of factory farm cows so they can produce the meaningless milk so that we can dump it out. Why pump the dairy industry full of meaningless subsidies? Because our government is owned, bought off by big ag, along with big pharma and big weapons and big banks and probably big Chia Pet and all kinds of things. Big Chia Pet has to get subsidies because I can't believe Chia Pets would still be around if it weren't for massive subsidies, government subsidies. I mean, and they are still around. You could go buy online. You can go buy a bizarre chia head right now in order to scare your children. I've never understood why those things exist at all. Who thought that shit up? Well, people like plants and people like disembodied celebrity heads. What if we combined the two into decapitated head plants like Ronald Reagan and Mickey Mouse? It'll look like Reagan has been buried in the ground and his corpse head is sprouting wheatgrass. I'm a goddamn genius. While the rest of you sitting around with your thumbs up your asses. And why do they only grow plants out of celeb? Why only Donald Trump's face? How about an ant farm that looks like Mike Pompeo's gunt? Where is that? Or a sea monkey terrarium shaped like Chuck Woolery's hemorrhoids? If we're going to buy nonsense, let's go crazy. Moving on. Point being, this immense waste of dairy products is done while people suffer around the globe. There are people without food, without clean water, without shelter, without clothing. And while they probably don't want stupid cow juice, I assume they'd take it if that's all we were offering. While we here in America dump milk into gutters and cheese into landfills, people starve around the globe. Because capitalism is a sociopathic system at its heart. It doesn't give a shit about anyone, about you or me or the people on the other side of the globe. It only seeks profit. In this case, profit, wealth extraction, comes from producing meaningless milk to then pour down the sewer. The government hands companies taxpayer money to do that because big ag says so. At no point does anyone at any level of this crap system say to the others, hey, Ron, maybe we shouldn't waste so much of this milk and cheese. Maybe we should look into a way to like ship it for free to people around the world who need it. Could you imagine how much that guy would get laughed at the board meeting? Let me get this straight, Jonathan. You want us to take our own money and spend it to feed hungry people, costing the company millions of dollars in shipping alone? Hold on. Yeah, I'm sure the investors will love that. Next, you're going to tell us we shouldn't abuse the torture the cows their entire lives because it hurts their feelings. Instead of chopping them up into little bits for hamburgers, maybe we should all give them hot stone massages. Huh, Jonathan? That's what it would look like. I'm pretty certain of it. And it gets even worse. A 2003 study covered by The Guardian found that, quote, each head of cattle in Europe gets a subsidy from the taxpayer worth $2.20 a day at a time when half the world's population, 3 billion people in all, scrapes by on an income of less than that. Let me repeat that. The cows in Europe get paid more by the taxpayers than the average daily wage of half the world's population. And I'm sure those numbers are even higher now that it's 17 years later. Point being, it's time to start crying over spilt milk because it represents everything that's wrong with this system. That's been your moment of clarity. Hope it put some pieces into place for you. I do these almost every single day, except sometimes, and you can get them always at leecamp.com. Head on over there. Please share them. Please click the thumbs up and subscribe and everything. And if you're watching this on the Redacted Tonight YouTube channel or one of the other ones, please go subscribe at youtube.com/moment of clarity. That channel is less suppressed. All right, everybody, keep fighting. Oh, and I'm doing a live stream Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern with Eleanor Goldfield. We'll be doing an hour at 8 p.m. Eastern only at youtube.com/moment of clarity. All right, see you soon.